Hey folks, today's episode is sponsored by CarParts.com. CarParts.com is the smarter way to shop for auto parts. Their fast, mobile-friendly experience makes it easy to shop for the parts you need when you need them. Just enter the year, make, and model of your vehicle, start shopping, and start saving. It's that simple.
They contacted me to see if I wanted some parts for my M3, and it was really great because my taillights were looking a little cracked and old, the reverse lights the same thing, and I didn't have a cup holder in the middle of the car, and that was a big problem for a couple of years. It was easy to find the parts that fit, they showed up really quickly, and everything went in with a snap.
Yeah, between the no cup holder, no radio, and no taillights, you really had a luxury vehicle there for a while.
It was a performance vehicle. It was a track car.
It was
that
Super
hadn't gone on
Leggera.
track yet. Exactly. It was Super Leggera RS.
CarParts.com stocks their own inventory, cutting out the middleman and passing the savings on to you. Whether you've been in a collision, you're working on your project car, or you just need to catch up on maintenance, visit CarParts.com/thesmokingtire for 10% off of $100 or more on select brands. Get the right parts right now at CarParts.com/thesmokingtire. We're also brought to you today by the Blackview DR750X 3-channel plus dash cam. Having one camera is good to protect your vehicle. Having two cameras is better to protect your vehicle. But what about 3? We are now on the razor blade model, where more is just better. 3 cameras protecting your vehicle. Blackview's first triple-channel dash cam lets you keep an eye on the front, the rear, and the inside of your vehicle at all times for complete peace of mind. The Blackview DR750X 3-channel plus simultaneously records the front, rear, and interior of your vehicle. Each of the cameras is equipped with a Sony CMOS sensor. The interior camera connects to the main and front camera via micro USB. And the triple-channel model also includes a GPS logger, built-in Wi-Fi, cloud connectivity, and built-in voltage monitoring for parking mode. Here is why you want built-in voltage monitoring. One of my customers here at WCCS has a very, very expensive luxury car, and they installed a substandard dash cam. They then left it running, and it killed the battery. Now, the battery, because this vehicle is a lithium-ion battery, combined with a mild hybrid system, will cost $2,700 to replace. That's why you want voltage monitoring like the DR750X dash cam has. It comes with the free Blackview app, which allows you to connect your dash cam directly or over the cloud, get impact notifications, download videos to your mobile, watch live view, and more. Moreover, Blackview's seamless pairing feature makes connecting to your dash cam incredibly easy. When hardwired, the Blackview DR750X 3-channel automatically switches to parking mode to monitor your parked vehicle. Thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to triggering events are also recorded. Oh man, I love this dash cam. It feels really high quality in your hands. It hides behind the mirror. It's a seamless install. You don't really even notice it's there, but it is always watching not just your vehicle, but the road outside. Get yourself some craziness on the road and get YouTube famous. So get one for yourself. Go to blackview.com/TST. That's BLACKVUE. Blackview.com/TST, and then use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackview dash cam. Free shipping for orders over $200. That's pretty much everything on their website. Their cameras cost more than $200, so you get free shipping at Blackview.com/TST with promo code TIRE. We got Butcher Box on the menu today. I love me some Butcher Box. Who doesn't love a big box of meat showing up at their house? Well, vegans. Vegans probably wouldn't like that. It would probably be considered a microaggression here in LA if you were to send Butcher Box to a vegan. But if you're sending it to someone not a vegan, or if you yourself are not a vegan, damn is Butcher Box where it's at. It's a subscription service that takes the guesswork out of finding high quality meats. ButcherBox sources their meat from partners with the highest standards for quality. No more searching the grocery store for 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more. Their sourcing decisions are made holistically, keeping the farmer, the planet, the animal, and your family in mind. I love me. I've just become, recently, a fan of ribeye. I think I just didn't know how to cook it right. Normally, like, you just do them in the pan, like a New York strip or a filet, pan to oven. That's the move. The ribeye requires a little bit more finesse. Like now I like the reverse sear for the ribeye because it draws out some of the moisture, gives it a little more of that nutty flavor that I like from a dry aged cut. But I'm a recent ribeye convert, and I have switched really from the sous vide to the reverse sear, which I think is equally equally difficult to mess up. Like the sous vide, you can't mess up. Hard to mess up a reverse sear also, but it's like fake dry aging. But the taste is the same as if you actually dried it. It's like 90% of the way to proper dry aging. And ButcherBox sends you all different cuts. Like you can choose what you're into. They've got a whole bunch of variety. They've got curated boxes, or you can get your own custom box. And their meat is super high quality, no antibiotics or added hormones. Every box contains between 8 and 14 pounds of meat, depending on the box, enough for 24 individual meals. It's packed fresh and shipped frozen for convenience, saving you time on your next grocery store trip. And delightful meats. This is your chance to never have to shop for ground beef again. I said that right. Never shop for ground beef again. That's right. ButcherBox is giving new members free ground beef for life. Free ground beef for life. I'm guessing there's probably a restriction or two, and they won't just like on OD drop ship beef to you forever for life. So you check the restrictions on the website. Some I'm sure will apply. But if you go to butcherbox.com/tire, here's the restriction. Get 2 pounds of ground beef for free in every order for the life of your membership. So as long as you're a member, as long as you're getting meats, bonus 2 pounds of ground beef free in every order for the life of your membership. Butcherbox.com/tire. That's an awesome deal. That's like 4 healthy burgers for free every month. And I'm not trying to say burgers are healthy. 4 healthy sized burgers. 4 plentiful burgers. You
can make delicious tacos with
4
that.
HPs.
Bolognese.
You could do a bolognese. You could make my ragu recipe that I posted on Instagram like a year and a half ago. You could go back and make that with free meats that you've gotten from ButcherBox. Lastly, we're also brought to you by Valvoline, of course, the original motor oil. Valvoline is America's first motor oil brand. They've been rocking it for 150 years, innovating, creating, and reinventing motor oil. From the first high mileage to the first synthetic blend, the first racing oil, they've never stopped pursuing innovation to maximize engine life. And their latest innovation, extended protection full synthetic motor oil, provides 50% better wear protection than industry standards and is 10 times stronger against oil breakdown. They've got that dual defense additive technology, combining an innovative additive boosted with a fortified detergent system. And you might not think you're a severe driver, but chances are, at least some of the time, you are. Could be short trips, could be towing, could be extreme hot or cold. You could have a turbocharged engine. You could be mobbing the canyons, or you could be driving with a heavy load like a fully loaded van or SUV. That is severe driving. And Valvoline has got you covered. They have a dedicated engine lab where they can run specialized engine tests. They are the world's #1 supplier of EV battery fluids. And I had to figure out what an EV battery fluid was. It's basically coolant.
Yeah.
It's for the EV, the cooling packs. It's not the liquid inside a battery cell.
There's a secret gasoline engine inside
there's motor
the motor
oil in the batteries. No, it's basically coolant for EVs. And Valvoline is proud to be the official motor oil of Hendrick Motorsports. This year, Valvoline driver Kyle Larson was crowned the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series regular season champion with 9 wins and 2,000 laps led. So head over to your local auto parts store and ask for Valvoline Extended Protection Full Synthetic Motor Oil by name, or whatever Valvoline product works best with your automobile. All right. On today's episode, assuming things have gone to plan, Chris Harris and Ed Lovett are here. Chris is Chris. We know Chris. We've worked with him on Drive on NBC Sports. He's now obviously the lead on the BBC Top Gear. And Chris and Ed are partners in Collecting Cars, which you've almost certainly heard about. It's an online auction website that is based out of the UK but has expanded operations into America. Westside Collector Car Storage is an affiliate facility. And this is Chris Harris and Ed Lovett on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
You've got 1 million subscribers, and it's still not. You're not gonna. It's not. You can't.
We
live
do
off
okay.
It. You can't live off it though.
Even though our views are like in the fucking toilet right now, which they are, we still had a record year in 2021 because of this. This is great. This is better. This is better than the video.
But you
show
still
right
got
now.
sponsors on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We record the ads separately, so you don't have to sit through them. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's when it's just Zach and I have figured out how to micromanage our time. It's when you see someone who's got like a big production and you know what it takes to do a big production, and you go, well,
I can't
do both sides of that.
The films
math.
that I want to make, I don't want to put. I can't make money on them on YouTube. So
No.
if we just take one camera and cock about, we can still do that. It's lots of fun.
Right.
Are we live
could-
now? Can people hear this?
We couldn't even do it
Only
with,
a few
with,
people, but
with
yes.
drive stuff. We
Yeah.
couldn't. It was
No.
impossible to do, and that was pretty basic by your now standards.
Well, I mean, the budget for an entire year of Drive wouldn't make 2 Top Gear films.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we like. And what's the language? Are we?
Any and all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as you got to go deep into the British obscenities, though.
Okay.
I really want to hear some cursing that I'm not used to.
Well, do you remember back at
you fucking lay it on me?
Remember with Spinelli? I remember Spinelli many years ago, and we were doing a job, and I just saw this car, and I went, "That is the tits." And Spinelli just went, "Why? How, do you mean it's like a pair of breasts?" I went, it's just a saying. It means it's really good. Why? And
That's crossed over.
I said, because tits are good, aren't they? And Spinelli went, I suppose so.
Some of them.
No, the tits is crossed over. That's now a very American.
become- I know, but
it's a very American term.
back
And we were
then-
just talking about Prince Jeffrey on a recent show. Remember Prince Jeffrey?
What, the
Sultan's
Sultan-
brother and his yacht,
Yeah.
which is named
What was it?
Tits.
Tits.
So
let's not get into
what used to
UK
be
princes.
his private residence is now a hotel country club in
Oh, is it?
Surrey or Berkshire on the border there, and it's amazing.
Really?
It is, and he used to
Is
have.
it called Tits?
I don't know what it, but it makes a 100-bed hotel and country club, and it was his private residence.
Hilarious. Well, welcome to the program, kids.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Edward, it's
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Harris is back in
Gentlemen.
Los Angeles. Finally.
Over 2 years since I've been here,
Up until this morning, I was like, he's not coming.
No, I said I would. You sent me a note last week, and I said when I say I'll turn up, I always do.
It kind of felt weird flying to the US.
Did it? Because
Yeah.
it's been a long time?
Yeah, but I flew on British Airways, and they were like, "So how long's it been?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't left the country since February of 2020.
But you've got quite a lot in this country to see.
We do.
You
Yeah,
can
that's true,
see
yeah.
snow, sand, Zach. You can
the
see all
same
sorts
day.
of things in a day. Whereas on our little island, as J.R. Ewing described England, that little itty bitty island off the north coast of Europe, there isn't quite the variety. And we've been filming a TV show in the UK for 2 years. We haven't really left, and we've slightly run out
Is
of
it
places.
getting boring?
Well, we've run out of places to go. You
Yeah.
can't just go, "Oh, we're in Cornwall." We've been here twice already, so we've got to be a bit careful. So it's a joy to be here, and I'd forgotten how pleasant the climate is. We're beset with some fairly horrible weather a lot of the time, and it's cold.
Yeah.
You come here, the California lifestyle. There's a lot to be said for
People
it,
shit on California all the time, but sunshine is fucking free, my friend.
Yeah.
and it's good for you. It
And
makes
it's so
every day
nice.
better.
Yes. It's January, and you should have seen Cars and Coffee last Saturday. It's ask your boy Rohan over there. He got here and he was like, "This is fucking crazy. I've never seen anything like this in the middle of January."
The funny thing is, we had a Cars and Coffee event on the 4th of December at Mercedes-Benz World, just outside London, and it was a fucking cold day, and 500 cars turned up.
Well, they just needed something to do.
Well,
probably,
but
right?
that would never happen here, if it was raining, I guess, because people in Europe
If it rains,
as well,
you don't have to go to work here.
Yeah.
You can literally
No,
can
but in
cancel
the
work.
UK, they don't get salt on the road. New Lamborghini, classic car, whatever. They're out and about in it.
Well, you guys, I mean, how many Top Gear films have I seen that are shot purely in fucking rain? I mean, they just
Well,
do.
if you
they
shoot
just
in
do
the
it.
UK, it's going to be raining, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was out with a friend yesterday in his very nice 911 Speedster, and it's never been in the rain, never been wet. And
Well, that's a brand new car. I have an E46 M3 that I just bought, a 2005 E46 M3 that's never been in the rain.
so we're driving along,
16 years.
and there's a burst water main, and there's also a burst sewer. So there's sewage on the road, and we can't leave the freeway. And I videoed him as we drove through. It was just shit water.
Is he having a panic
And the
attack?
car's
Mate,
white.
I'll show you the video later. You know who it is. I'm not going to name him. I'm.
Well, you tagged him on Instagram. It's not like you're hiding him now.
Poor old Maz is going. He's going. This has never been in the rain. No, he goes. It's sewage. That's not water. And I'm going. It's really nice poo. It's just poo water.
It's
fucking
vegan.
sloshing up the side of
It's
the
the
car.
poo from vegans
Oh
who
my
do
God.
yoga. We're in West LA.
So we've renamed it the 911 Pooster because it's just covered in
It's a
poos.
diaper. It's a diaper
It is
car.
nice. It lost $200,000 of value.
You gotta make them. You gotta make the meme of the Biff Tannen manure. I hate manure.
No, he's no.
I can imagine he's so neat.
I know, but the car. Tell you what, it's one
a
of those
good car,
cars. It's
isn't
one
it?
of those cars that when it's launched, and Edward, we're now wind Edward up because Edward's had not one but two Speedsters that he sold too cheaply. But the fact is, it's one of those cars that in Europe you think, what do we do with this? Because you
Yeah.
never get the roof down, and when you do, it's freezing cold. You're just putting the roof down because you feel you ought to because you
Yeah.
paid all the money. But it's a California car, isn't it? You get here suddenly, it makes total sense.
Do you know how
over
many
here.
of them we see around here?
We saw
I mean,
two last week at
There
Cars
was
and Coffee.
two
That was
next. There
surprising.
was two at Cars and Coffee last weekend. I mean, any Cars
They
and
make
Coffee
plenty
is
of
going to
them.
be going to be two or three.
How
of
many do you
those
reckon they
here.
made? A couple of thousand?
What, to speak? No, we know they made
They're numbered, aren't they?
1948.
Do
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many of
bet
those are in California?
At least a third are in the LA metro area for sure.
I mean, it's a very poor area, this, isn't it? Los Angeles. There's just no money for cars.
But
at
I
all.
mean, but it's the same thing with GT3s. You don't even look at a GT3 twice around here. I mean, they're just around.
I always look at a GT3 because it's the finest motor car ever made, isn't it, Zach?
It's a pretty good car.
It's a pretty good
I
car.
read
It
your fawning piece on the brand new one.
I like the new one. A lot of people say it's too stiff on the road, but I just think a GT3 is always stiff on the road. It's not a comfortable car. It never has been. So just get on with it. I think any car that you can buy that's got an NA 500 horsepower engine with a manual gearbox, we should be patting that on the back at the moment because when you can only buy an electric shitbox in a couple of years' time, you're going to go, I wish I hadn't been so negative about that GT3. That was rather more fun
That's
than
true.
this.
Morally, I'm with you. Although from a feet, hands, and ass perspective, I like the old one a little better.
Well,
as a road car.
What, a 991?
A 991.2, like the one you've got.
Yeah.
I'd rather do 100,000 miles on the
But
road in
you
one
know
of
what?
those.
If it's too stiff, just get some springs and change it if you want. Make it a bit softer.
Sure.
It's not rocket science. Is
And then
it?
the
you still have the good
GTS was
wishbone
also
suspension.
excellent. I mean,
Yeah.
as a less special but very nice and fast road car. GTS is where it's at.
I did like. Look, I think these days there's so much you can do to these cars. If they're not quite right for you, you can just tweak them, can't you? Buy a set of KWs, and if you look on the spring on the inside of a GT3, I bet you K&W make it.
Of course
For
they do.
Porsche. So I'm sure they just buy the one that was a bit softer. They didn't put on the
Yeah.
car. It'll be there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I thought people only buy them to flip them.
Well, you do.
You do.
No, I don't. I'm not a flipper. I'm the worst car dealer in the world.
I love it when he's had two. He bought a Speedster, and I remember way
I
before
bought the
lockdown,
perfect Speedster.
It was a freaking gorgeous car, and we turned up to a meeting, and he just winded me up because he's got a Speedster, and I'm skint as usual. And I hadn't even had my yellow car then. And then he says, I'm never going to sell it. A week later, it's sold, obviously. Then he gets another one. Then he says, I won't sell this one. It gets sold again. What are you doing?
Did you get an offer you couldn't refuse?
No,
Is that
not
it?
at all. No, I lost money on the first one, and
What?
I took my money back on the second one.
The market was
So why you sell?
I live in central London. I have 3 children, so I never get time to use these cars. And
yeah.
then I have a garage full of cars, thinking, well, I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that. And when we went into COVID the first time, I had like my dream set of cars, and we went down to Cornwall during COVID, and I said to myself, I'm going to sell everything, which was an impossible task going into COVID. But I did
3 months, 4 months later, it was like, woo, make that money.
6 weeks they all went, and now I couldn't buy any of those cars back for a fraction
Well,
of
we
what I
didn't-
sold
You
them for.
fucked up.
Well,
Yeah,
we all
you
thought the
fucked
market
up.
was. We all thought it was another one of those sort of 2007, 2008 situations. We thought this is done.
Yeah.
The combination of this, the impending electric movement. All of us. I remember saying, there was lots of conversations. People saying, "What's going to happen?" I'm saying, I don't want to be a doom monger, but I cannot see how these cars can maintain their value. This was 2 years ago, and I couldn't have called it more wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's worth 25% more.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
I tried to go once I was, we weren't locked up, but it was like, you can't really do a whole lot. I was like, fuck, I need to go this whole time without buying anything. and I failed so miserably. I made it like a year without buying anything, and then I bought the 328, and then I bought the E46, and I have another car coming in. It's like, it's ridiculous.
But that's what, we're here to promote this collecting cars thing, and that's why we're in LA. And let's face it, when we went into lockdown, collecting cars was doing about one car a night. And very quickly it became clear that when people were sitting at home unable to leave their houses or flats, they were buying stuff, whether it was Amazon, so many people were encouraged and had the bravery to buy stuff online that wouldn't have done before.
Yeah.
And we benefited from that enormously. And in the UK, there's a real doom gloom story around lockdown. All the businesses that have failed, the people have suffered. But there's a lot of really good news stories of businesses that thrived and suddenly became successful. And I suppose we're one of the lucky few.
Well, isn't it weird that like all of a sudden people are comfortable buying not just brand new cars that are where it's pretty predictable. Buying a 35-year-old car online, sight unseen, like
and you would now.
Who's doing that?
You would though, wouldn't you? I bet you would, because you can add process to it. Don't forget, you're buying it unseen, but you can send someone to look at it, get it checked out. So actually, it's no different. And once you've done it once, it is a bit like crack cocaine. Once you've done it once, the bidding process becomes a bit addictive, and you love it, don't you?
It's also not just though. That's everyone's eyes have moved over to it. So they've now they hear friends that have bought one. I bought one, I sold one. So that's sort of justifying people going back and considering it.
Well, and everyone hates dealerships.
They hate
and so avoid it. Am I going to get fucked by this guy who hasn't represented this car accurately, or am I going to get fucked by this guy who's I could go look at the car, but he's going to try and lie to my face.
But all these classified sites, there's 3, 5, 10 photos at the most. Mm-hmm. But you go onto our site, there's 150 to 200 photos. You've got 7 days to look over them. You find more time to comfort yourself with that purchase because it's not 30 seconds to go. You've got a whole week to figure out what you're going to do.
I'll tell you what, we sold a car for one of our clients on collecting cars, E28 M5, about 2 weeks ago. It was a nice car, driver quality car, not perfect, high miles, 183,000 miles or
barely
something.
Run in as an owner of an
It was a very nice driver, right? And when we said, like, we're at WCCS, we're open 7 days a week. We said we've parked the car right up front.
Yeah.
We have made it available. Come inspect it. Bring your mechanic.
Did anyone
whatever.
look at it?
0 people.
Amazing, isn't it?
Nobody came to look.
Is that because people know that E28s are pretty bulletproof, or is it just because someone's decided they're going to buy it and that's that?
I think that between the description of the car, the scanning of the service records, the communication that we had, and it went for. It wasn't a super premium. It wasn't like it was a 3,000-mile one-owner car. It was a driver quality car, and they got it for a good price. I imagine they saved, $5-10K on the side for whatever it might need later.
The dealership thing is interesting, isn't it? Because we're all, even now, I've always been a bit against.
Sold section.
I've always been a bit against the dealer model in that. I just think people got a bit greedy with the margins, certainly in Europe. The idea that a car that is worth £70,000 has 10, 15 grand put over it.
Right.
Has always seemed a bit excessive to me. I know that these garages carry massive overheads.
Yeah.
But when I walk into a massively plush building and I get offered a coffee from a machine that clearly costs $30,000, I'm thinking, I don't really need this. It doesn't add anything to the motoring experience for me at all. And that's part of why when we started talking, it's just take smaller amounts from each deal, turn cars over, and if you want the dealership experience, you're still going to go there. Of course you are, because you want to be. So many people want to feel special. I've saved up for this. I want someone to make me feel great.
Well, and dealers are selling cars on sites like yours.
Yeah,
of course they are.
I have a couple of friends. I think you met my friend Doug. You ever meet Doug? Switch Cars Doug? He's fucking nuts. The cannonballer dude.
Yeah.
He's out of his mind. And he's got a little dealership in Ohio, and he sells all kinds of weird shit. And most of it goes on these auction sites for whether it's yours or Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids or whatever.
Yeah.
Different cars for different sites. But it's becoming the model for a dealership as well.
Oh, well, look, it's changed the...
Cheaper than buying fucking ads in DuPont Registry.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
No, it's changing the classifieds as well because, I hate the classifieds because...
Of course you do.
If you go on and you want to buy a GT3 and you search up what you're looking for, and let's say there's 50 of them for sale in North America, and you've got to then decipher which ones you go after because the price range across them is wild. Some people think, right, mine's red with 1,200 miles, so I'm going to ask $179,000 for it, but there's an equivalent car that's $30,000 less with a different interior in it. And you've got to call these guys, and then you've got to deal with a dick on the phone.
I like negotiating upwards. I like that process. I'm not a very good haggler.
Yeah.
You know, if I see a car, my BMW M3 that I just bought from EAG, which you may have heard of in Ohio, they're the people with the most expensive BMWs on the fucking planet. I didn't haggle.
What did you get for it?
Huh?
What did you get for it?
I'm not saying on the show.
Okay. Zach agreed to
I'll
me
tell
later.
you after the show.
Was it a premium E46 M3?
If you saw it, you'd think it was out of the museum. No joke.
And it's
on
15,000
and I
miles
presume,
on
tell
it.
me it's on 18s as well.
Comp wheels.
Is it?
19s.
19s,
with a
okay.
Dynan S1 kit on it. It's fire. And it's
They are
silver with a red
The
interior.
best M3 ever.
Best M3 ever.
I'm a fan of the last one still, whether that was called the
F80?
FT.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of that car. A lot of people weren't, but I still think the E46 is
It's the
that's
best.
the car.
You've seen Zach's, right? It was downstairs, the blue one.
Yeah. That's a gorgeous. They're just great cars, aren't they?
This thing is a
Have you learned to
brand
drive
new
it yet?
car.
No, I'm working on
You
it.
can't,
I'm working on it.
but not like by policy. Not it just hasn't been like an occasion. But like he
Wait, you said have I learned to drive mine?
They learned to drive
he
actually.
learned it?
Yeah, I learned to drive
'Cause
mine.
he's getting good at the drifting thing. I've noticed. He's getting handy
so
now.
good that his car can't handle it.
That's right.
His car's
Is
given
it?
up.
We were trying to remember. We were talking about it last night when I first met Chris. So my family have a car business in the UK selling a franchise dealers. We've got 4 BMW dealerships, etc. And Chris was living in Bristol and used to turn up in press cars. And I think the first car he turned up with was the Z3 M Coupe.
Might have been.
Yeah, and used to take me out and do naughty things
Scare
on the
the
road.
shit out of you?
Scare the shit out of me. Which then I thought, I can do that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've ended up
No,
in
you
a lot
can't.
of ditches.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
There's 3 people in the fucking world that can drive like him.
Yeah.
No, but
I still try.
we used to
And
have
fail.
lots of fun. I can remember turning up with a very early press E46 M3. So one of the things I used to love.
Phoenix yellow.
Yeah, and I really miss this. I really miss those days. You'd be a junior road tester, and if you worked on the right UK magazine, you were allowed to go over to Germany to the German companies, and they'd give you one of those S or M registered proper press cars,
Yeah.
an early one. You could drive it back to the UK. Then we would test it, and then the other magazines would get to test it afterwards. So I drove an E46 M3 back, an early one. I drove the first GT3 back from the factory, and those trips stick in my mind because as
Oh
a
my
young,
God.
even now,
How old
I'd
were you
feel
at the time?
23, 22.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn to drive them, because you on your own in the middle of Europe, and someone's paying for the fuel. I just go to roundabouts in Belgium and spin on my own. No, an occasional trucker would see you doing something stupid. That's how you'd learn with the track time as well. But I'm driving back this car, and we took it to Exmoor to film it. It was a Phoenix Yellow E46 M3. And I just couldn't believe how good the car was. And this is one thing that I now think my instincts were about right. Because at the time, I couldn't understand how you could make a better performance car for the money, for its overall package of the way it looked, the way it sounded, the way
Yeah.
it felt, and the way it went. And do you know what? It hasn't been bettered.
No.
They've done
Well, that's
things that are
what-
faster, but actually I was right. At the time, it was a significant car
Yeah.
because it was brilliant. And it still feels
We
brilliant
drove
now.
the brand new one, the beaver tooth fucking one, and I went after that. I was like, is
Okay.
this really better?
But it's a great car to
Yeah,
drive.
objectively, sure, but it's faster than I can go.
Yes, and if you woke up every morning and you had the two side by side, which would you take?
Yeah.
I'd take the old one because I wouldn't look like a penis.
And then we did a fake Top Gear knockoff film called All Cars Go to Heaven 3 in Texas, and I bought a 200,000-mile E46 325 wagon for this film. And I put gravel rally coilovers on it and fucking big tires, and we drove it on rally
What
stages.
is it with you buying old BMWs and putting off-road tyres on? Do you remember an adventure we had in Colorado?
Yeah. You know that car's still alive and racing?
Okay, so we bought
Yeah, it's sort of
an
alive,
old
yeah.
Chump Car thing, and I think it was, and
Yep.
he quite rightly in a meeting, this is when we used to do this thing for NBC, he said, one thing is for sure, and I always agree with him, if you put off-road tyres on a normal car, it'll go places an SUV on normal tyres won't go. So we tried to...
And the
we tried to-
dynamics won't be ruined.
We tried to get this thing up. I'm jet lagged to fuck. And we tried to get this thing up the side of a hill. It was utter mayhem. We were in the middle of nowhere. It was getting dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was, but
Started
this
to rain.
thing, this 3 Series got most of the way
It really
up a
went
mountain.
very far. We got to very big boulders before, and the car could have kept going, except that I punctured the fuel tank. Remember
And there
that?
was fuel pissing everywhere.
Right,
Being
and
a man, I ran.
I used to smoke cigarettes, and I found out mid cigarette, and I was like, What's that? And it was the back seat completely soaked like a sponge with fuel. And I was like one bad flick away from immolation.
Were you just doing this stuff for fun?
No, it's for the
No, it's
NBC
it's probably online
Drive on
somewhere.
NBC Sports.
You filmed it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was for a TV show, but it proved that if you stick knobblies on a normal car, you'd be amazed at how far it'll go.
Yeah, and they now have
you've got a Safari 911, right?
I sold it.
You did?
I did, yeah. I had one. I had it for 3 years.
Yeah.
He drove one like
Is it 3 years you had it for?
Yeah, I had it for
Yeah.
3 years, and I drove it a bunch, but then I ended up, I had a bunch of cars, and I drove it the least of you know, I don't want to say the novelty wore off, but like I just, you know, didn't drive it as much anymore. And the market on those, god damn, is on fire right now. And I called...
How many's Lee made?
God, I want to say he's maybe
30s, I
probably
think.
in the
Low
low
30s.
30s. Mine was number 14.
You want to meet someone that can drive?
Yeah.
Meet him.
I've
He can
I've
really
seen
will.
him in a singer.
He can really
in
will.
flip flops. He's
He can really will.
quite good. And I called him up and I said, "Hey, you know, I'm thinking about maybe getting out of this. I think it's time." And he goes, "I'll call you back in 10 minutes." And when he called me back in 10 minutes, the number he gave me was so shocking. I just said, "Sold." Send the fucking truck. Wrap it up. Let's go. And now the dude who bought it is
here we
wheeling it
go,
around Miami. He bought it and he took it to a track day at fucking Palm Beach International Raceway.
I was there last week.
Honestly, he took it to a track day there.
I went. I can't say too much, but we're filming with Top Gear. I went donk drag racing.
Yeah, cool.
Did you? That's fun.
I ended up in 1,000 horsepower donk.
That's awesome.
your
And that was
leg.
before I'd done my leg, and it did a wheelie off the line.
They're amazing.
And I met the donk,
Donk dragsters
and I
rule,
met the
don't they?
donk master came along.
Oh,
he
you
is
did?
an absolute dude.
Yeah, he is.
The whole scene, total madness.
It's crazy, right?
They had stuff with 1,500 horsepower.
Yeah.
And they're just running street tires with a 25 profile. And there's some old guy running the track, and he's going, "This is very interesting stuff." But I won't do the accent. But he said, "I'm not really sure these tires are designed for this kind of activity." As they just tires are flying off rims and bursting.
Well,
and-
sometimes they're like custom-made tires because no one makes the tires that are wide enough and big enough for those
There's
cars.
a guy.
So, like, there's
Scotto
a guy.
told us that
Yeah.
there's a guy who makes donk drag tires.
Well, I think there has
he
to be.
hand shaves them.
But he'd need to because
Yeah.
it's so. The stresses they go through is incredible.
Oh, there's mine. The Larry Chen photo of mine right there in the second column from the left, sliding in the desert.
Nice.
Such a great looking car.
It was a
Fucking-
fucking great car. It was awesome. There was nothing wrong with the car. It was a perfectly executed for its intention.
On the
that
subject
car.
of Lee, I follow him on social media. I see he's got a gold GT3, which,
Yeah,
which
nice.
written down on paper shouldn't work.
Yeah.
But it looks magnificent,
does
doesn't
look
it?
good. It does look good.
Lee knows his colors too.
Yeah.
He really has.
Because yours
great,
was out there, wasn't it?
Mine was Cassis,
Yeah.
which was unsellable when it was new, and then became a Cassis car is probably a 10 or 15% premium in Los Angeles right now, if you can find one.
Really?
Oh yeah, Cassis is hot right now.
That
That
looks
gold looks amazing.
Look at him.
It really
It's not
does.
JRG.
Let's
but
not be too nice about him, all right? He's got bad breath and he's an unsympathetic
eat
lover.
anything.
Other than that, he's fine.
He does eat like a 4-year-old.
afraid of-
He
he's
will
terrified of
only eat
food.
like chicken nuggets. He
I remember
eats
the day after
horribly.
that silly race we did at VIR, and he was chicken and chips, wasn't he?
He literally doesn't eat real food.
That
He
was the day
only
they
eats-
gave me some moonshine. That
He's like
altered my
Roman.
Oh, the moonshine.
altered my attitude towards what that can do to your body. We were playing, so we finished this
Remember
race.
those folks? They were kind of hinting at
came
a
over.
threesome with me in their tent.
Yes, and
Weird.
they came over, and at the end of the race, they said, "Have this," and they gave us a clear bottle of Shine, and it was at 160 proof or something.
It was shine.
And these guys had a baseball and a glove. We were throwing this baseball around as the paddock emptied, and all we had was some Gatorade orange to mix it with. So I poured about that much into the bottom of a glass. They're going, "Be careful." I went, "What's only alcohol? Can't hurt you." And I put the same amount of Gatorade in it, and I put it in a cup and left it there. And we went away. We just played ball 15 minutes, and I came back, and the plastic cup that it was in melted. Remember that? The cup just collapsed.
It was melting.
So then I drank. I had 3 doubles of it, and I have no recollection.
Yeah.
I remember being by
That's
a pool.
operator
I've been
error,
by
by the
a
way.
pool by a muddy river somewhere near the town, and we were trying to throw balls across the river, and that was all I remember. And I woke up on the floor in my room.
yeah.
Moonshine.
That's what
Moonshine
they
days.
do. That's what they do in the South, man. That shit is crazy
It
down
was
there.
just after the riots. We
Yeah.
were there 3 days after the
Yeah.
riots, weren't we? And I remember, this is the other thing about, we did a race. I did the Cleetus's Dirty 30 last Friday night
Oh, you
down
did?
in Florida. It's
Good
an
for
amazing
you.
experience.
For fun or for Top Gear?
For Top Gear, yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
You're doing YouTuber races for Top Gear?
Why not?
How
It's
do I-
great.
that's
Dude, it
a-
looks
that is
so
a
fun.
crossover.
Yeah, definitely
so
do
it's
that.
a brilliant idea.
Heck
So,
yeah.
and he runs such a great event. So we did that. Where was I going with that? I was talking about
Riots?
Moonshine.
Moonshine riots.
Ending up on your
Cleetus.
face.
Ending up on your
Oh
hotel
no,
floor.
national anthem.
Oh.
So it's as a European and particularly a British person. I mean, we take our national anthem seriously, but nothing the way you guys do. And
Especially in the South.
and so everyone stops, everyone pays attention, is respectful. I like that. But at VIR, do you remember this? He might remember this, or you might remember this.
Oh, I know where
there
you're
were
going
two
with this
guys
now.
who didn't take their caps off during the national anthem, and they nearly got lynched, didn't they? They fucking
it's
one lad, someone leant over, grabbed his hat, got half his hair with it, and dragged him back. Got
It
the
was
cap
like a
off.
fight started basically over.
Yeah, it was really.
yeah.
And as a European, you just don't see that. I mean, I like a bit of patriotism, but it was quite scary. It really was. I thought, fucking hell, this could kick off.
Yeah, I've seen another one where it was in. We were down in Texas doing something, and there was the national anthem, and then the person singing at the end of the anthem offered a bit of political commentary, just a few of his thoughts. And I was just like, oh my God, where the fuck am I? It's a big country. We have a very big country.
I
here.
know, and there's
a
lots of
lot
people here.
lot of perspectives.
That race was that was a Chump Car race, which we have to go and do one. A fantastic series where you're supposed to have
Remember
a cheap
that
car.
the rainstorm?
Is incredible.
It was, there's no place. I've never been anywhere darker than VIR at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And the rain is so big. It's the descriptions in Forrest Gump of big rain, small rain, upside down rain. This was upside down rain. It was hitting the ground so hard it was firing up. It would go up your short legs. You'd feel it going into your shorts.
We had to build a defroster for the car. It didn't have one.
Yeah.
We like run a pipe and aim it at the windshield, and it was just a joke.
And I did a stint, went to bed, or what they call it bed. I basically slept inside Spinelli's fucking nutsack for about an hour, and then I went outside
Well, you'd
and I
fit.
went to the pit wall, and there was no one there, and I thought, oh, they've crashed the car, it's out. And I looked round, and the car was parked next to the RV we had, with a note on the front saying, "Couldn't be arsed, went to bed." So whoever been driving just gave up, just parked it, and then we re-entered back into the race, and just carried on going.
Yeah, when you're building one of those race cars and you install lights, you don't really actually think much about using them. They're
Right.
just kind of there for tech. Does it have lights? Check. It's not like, do the lights work in a pissing rainstorm? Because
Right,
they
a really-
the worst lights you could imagine.
That's the best of America for me. That kind of thing would never happen in
We
Europe.
have so much good cheap racing here. We really do.
I know.
And that series that race was in was called Chump Car.
Is it still going now, or is it stopped?
It's called Champ Car now. They bought the rights to actual Champ Car, and it's now called Champ Car.
So I can remember that year I did lots of events that year. I was doing modern stuff, I was doing old stuff. And you always get the tech sticker on your helmet. So the last thing I did that year was Goodwood. So the Revival is the ultimate beautiful race meeting. All the cars are worth lots of money. It's our equivalent of Monterey. And I go there, and the bloke on the tech is looking at my helmet, and he's going, "VLN, that's nice, that's really good. I'm Blanc Pan, that's good. Chump Car? What the hell is that?" I go, I can't really explain what that is. The sticker was the best sticker, and they stuck it right over the Blanc Pan sticker. It's like Chump
Those guys,
Car.
you get a lemon sticker. It's like a huge lemon.
Yeah.
It's like the Le Mans sticker's like this big. The lemon sticker's it's fucking big. It's great.
No, so they still run those events today.
Oh yeah, those events are doing really well. Yeah, cheap racing is alive.
Okay, I think
we were
I think-
talking about
I
doing
think-
some racing
I
this
think
year,
we-
but
I
we don't
think
want to
we
spend
need-
very much money.
No, we're
cheap.
We need to come over here later in the year and do one. We'll get a couple of cars. We should do it.
Well,
should
the
do a
best
deal.
part
Yes.
about these events is there's professional race team managers, and you can arrive and drive them.
Yeah.
There's a team manager. They got a couple of E30s or whatever, and you pay them a couple $1,000. You're in the fucking race.
We do
Genuinely.
anything similar here to the Fun Cup. So we do this thing in the UK.
Isn't that with Beatles?
Yeah, it was kind of Beatles. Yeah, 25-hour Fun Cup.
Well, I mean, that race we were in was a 24-hour race. I don't think they
We
have a
didn't do-
Beatle
We didn't do
one.
24 hours of it.
I
think we
wouldn't
did about
want.
19.
A lot of them split it. They do
Some
like 8
people
and 8,
did 24
but yeah, some people did straight 24.
We don't. I don't. They don't do the Beatles because in
they're
America,
not Beatles, they're
in
space
America, we
frames.
think
Yeah.
they're shitboxes.
So they're
Yeah, they
space
look
frames
like
with an
Beatles.
Audi,
Yeah.
an
Oh,
Audi
really?
TT
Oh,
engine
yeah.
in the
That'd be
back.
fun.
Oh,
But
really?
They've got a faster one now. Have you heard the story about what they do in the Spa race now? So the Spa 25 hours.
We saw those when you for drive when we went to Spa.
Yes, we saw
they
one.
had practice or something for Fun Cup before
so
we were
now
there.
I found out last year there's a special category that if if you, as a spectator, if you
Fuck
pay,
me, look at that. That's a fucking tube frame extruded aluminum deal,
it's a
isn't
proper
it?
thing.
It's a
So
carbon
there's-
tub.
You pay to go to drink in this particular bar. When they love drinking at Spa, if you pay a certain premium, you're allowed to have a ride in the passenger seat in a race car during the race. So you're
During the race?
you're shit faced. You go
Oh
down these
my
stairs.
God.
A car's just finished a pit stop. The car pulls up. You get fired into the passenger seat. They bolt you in, and you do a stint hammered in the car with the
Oh
driver.
my God.
Only in Belgium.
And then you just chunk in your helmet.
How do you
Imagine
not
if
vomit?
Can you imagine if you blew chunks? You're going up the, you're going. We're on top of the Radillon.
That's crazy. In the race.
Yeah, it's an extension of because the one thing that VLN was so back in what they call it now, they call it the long distance Nürburgring Championship or something. But back in the day, the unique thing was that during what they called training, which is also timed practice, you could take people as a passenger in the car. So you're setting the car up to be like Friday practice in F1, taking a passenger, and it was an amazing way to get sponsors involved because you basically sponsor would bring 10 people along and they think I'm going to watch some boring race,
And you give
they
them
get
rides.
strapped in next to some fucking Manti superstar and literally have their bowels rearranged for 7.5 minutes and come back
Sounds
in.
awesome.
But the idea of doing it pissed in a Beetle
Ooh.
when there are 200 cars on the track or whatever it is.
Are they fast?
Not really, no. It's one of those drafty things where basically there's a line of cars that goes up the Kemmel Straight, and then at the last minute the head-on camera they all fan out, 6 of them just dive out, and they all fucking go for the corner. It's just standard, isn't it?
Oh my God! You know what I've been really getting into is whoever is running Goodwood's Instagram is doing a great job because I love watching clips from the Goodwood.
There's some
could watch that shit all-
outrageous car control on there.
I
as
mean,
well.
these guys who are racing the shit from the 20s, and it's just the crazy.
Have you seen that young guy
song.
with the long hair?
Yes.
So I met him at the last Goodwood. I've forgotten his name, and he drives something that's got a chain on it that's just trying to kill him.
Shit, the chain
And
drives
he's sideways
so
everywhere. And I just asked him about how he felt about it. He went, "Well, it's just is. It's what it is, isn't it?" You're not thinking about the fact that when you're doing 100 miles an hour into Ford water on a steam engine, that it's going to hurt you. And he's
Patrick Blakeney Edwards drives that little Fraser Nash with the
He is-
roof,
yeah, he's
and he is
fantastic on
full
it.
tilt on this.
Oh, that's the one- it looks
that
like a
little
torpedo
boxy bit.
thing?
No, it's a tiny boxy little.
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
It looks
what
like
about
a
the
kid's
owlet?
car.
Do you know the owlet? Google the
I know
owlet.
I know like the Beast of Turin and that thing.
The Bistro lives in Bristol, actually.
Does it?
Yeah. When they
There's
start,
is there only one?
yeah, when
There's
they
only one,
when
right?
they start it,
Owlet.
you can't stand anywhere near it because the flames come out of it so far. On a dark day in the UK,
He drives that well.
the owlet is a
Yeah,
crazy.
that's it. There.
Oh, the outlet. We can't play YouTube on YouTube. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
And the
Wow.
Fraser
This
Nash
is-
looks kind of like that, right?
Yeah, that's it. That is a Fraser
Oh,
Nash.
yeah.
that
okay,
thing
yeah.
is
Yeah.
sideways everywhere.
That is
Yeah.
great. It looks like a Model A, but just lowered.
Yeah.
but look at
narrow.
look at the stance of it on that profile
So much
shot.
With that positive camber?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No,
Is
good.
that the best racing you've done? From the outside, it's so
good.
entertaining
It's
to watch.
lovely. I love Goodwood. I mean, Goodwood it's an institution. There's two things I do love about Goodwood. One is that it allows proper hard driving. And two, it's the car that gets invited, not the driver, so it takes the ego out of it. So, you know, a lot of places you're invited because you're a famous driver or you're a celebrity or something. But over there, the car receives the invite. And it's a bit Hogwarts-like. You actually get a proper letter saying
like
your
a
car is
golden
invited.
ticket kind of thing?
And I love that. I suppose the thing I find confusing about Goodwood sometimes is the driver briefings are really stern. In fact, I appear in one of the driver briefings on how not to drive, which still irks me now because I did nothing wrong. But what they do is they say you can't do this, but then they put all the social media up showing all the bloody rogue driving that goes on and all this. So it's a bit naughty, I think.
Well, that's like, you know, in the equivalent in America is people who like who it's not okay to say that you like seeing crashes in racing.
I know.
And then it's like, top 10 NASCAR crashes of the week, bro.
Yeah.
You know, it's
He lost an arm.
Yeah, no,
But-
we're the fucking kings of double speak in this
Goodwood-
world.
but
Don't try and double speak an American. We do it better than anybody.
But I defy anyone to sit on the grid in a fast old car at Goodwood and not think this is the best thing I've ever done. It is fantastic. And if you do get a pot, you drive the car back up, and Lord Marches, or the Earl of Richmond, now as he's called, his butler offers you a cigar. He clips the cigar, you smoke it. Someone gives you a glass of bubbly, and you think, I'm living now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But when you're at the back, going slowly, battling in something that you think might kill you, it's not quite so funny. But let's face it, that's the future of our enthusiasm, is events like that. It's places like Thermal. It's going to places where we have a controlled environment to enjoy the cars, because increasingly you just can't do it on the street.
On the road.
You
Well,
really
the
can't.
cars are getting absurd, aren't they? I mean, the fucking cars. they're not getting more fun. Try to tell me an SF90 is more fun than a 458. Really?
It just isn't.
It's not.
No, they are insane.
What is that extra 400 horsepower getting you? Nothing.
But you're
I think
not
there's
feeling
zero love for an SF90. That's sort of the
Well,
pinnacle of.
Well, you say that Ferrari customers, actually, the ones that got them really like the car, I'm told.
That's
And it
because
is.
they're trying to retain the residual value.
Well, no, it's not like a bad car. In fact, for considering
so-
their resources, I'm impressed at their
Well,
hybrid
it's
integration.
It's as
but-
fast as a Chiron for no money at all.
Right.
Relatively
speaking. But it's just having driven the modern ones, like once you got past 500 horsepower, like what the
But
fuck
do you
am I
not
gonna
get the
do with
feeling
rest
now
of
that
it?
the car, any industry that rides a wave of increased buying of just sort of liquidity in the world, whether it's watches or any other luxury good, they get drunk on that, and their product planning cycle means they have to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the brakes went on a couple of years ago in the car market, but what we're seeing now is just the run out of what they had planned. That looks, I think some of them are embarrassed by it because it's increasingly ridiculous and out of touch. But they've got to make the cars because they're in the product plan, and people are paying for them, so why they can't say no to them. But I get the feeling we might be about to turn a corner. I think, when you look at what some of the car companies that we really respect are doing, I think there might be some lighter weight, less powerful stuff around the corner, and the narrative might shift a bit because Ferrari dealerships can't sit there and say to people, you need 1,000 horsepower car. I mean, it's just nonsense.
And then what are you going to do 6 years from now and say, oh, you need 1,400, you need 6, because they have to keep raising a bar.
Exponentially, it's going nowhere. So we'll see what happens. But if people are buying it, they're buying it, aren't they? I like to think that even someone who has no interest in cars at all could do the Pepsi challenge with a blindfold, and as you say, they'd have more fun in a 458 than they would an SF90. And I think even people that don't know about cars would go, actually, this is more fun, and it's cost me a fraction of the money.
My 328 is so fun at like regular ass speeds.
Yeah.
Like really regular speeds, like 40. My 328 is great.
I get the same thing, but I sort of defy anyone to not be seduced by a hypercar now and again. Like, I get very grizzled. I'm a right miserable fucker about this. But I remember going and driving that Lamborghini. You've driven it now, the STO. I think Lamborghinis have been shite for a long time. They really have been.
It's pretty rowdy.
But it's a great car. It's not my car. I wouldn't want to be seen in it. It was styled by a fucking teenager.
Yeah.
But do you know what? When you're in it and it's lit up and you're a bit sideways and that thing's screaming behind you, you can make an argument for a modern supercar because it just is sensational to drive.
The SCV12, the Track Day one. Did you drive that thing yet?
No. What's that like?
Fucking scary, actually.
Yeah.
It's 800 horsepower and rear-wheel drive, and you can't see a thing out of it. And the steering wheel is off-centered. So the shaft comes out of the dash, and then there's a gooseneck. So the wheel doesn't spin around a center. It swings like a galleon.
Why?
Because
Lamborghini.
I don't know.
I don't know, but then
It scared the shit out of me, honestly.
You've got two cars that sort of make the job of the modern supercar much more difficult. Because if I said to you, you can have the new Countach, which I know both of us have offered interesting opinions on that. We'll discuss this in a minute.
Which
would you rather have
Marcello
yours?
Gandini
The letter.
agreed with me.
The letter.
One of the greatest things ever written.
I mean, what a takedown. What a takedown. He might as well have just... It would have been easier if somebody just videoed him just taking his trousers down and showing his bum to the Lamborghini. That's what it was. It was just... He was showing his bum to them. But I'd rather have your car.
Yeah.
The Quattro Valvoline it's the one, isn't it?
It's very exciting.
And it does everything you want. And I've got a 512 TR that is right. It's just very leggy and it's old. There's no modern Ferrari that I'd want beyond that. And I'm not trying to justify my car's nicer or retain the value of it.
No, but beyond a certain point,
It's the
roads
experience.
are the same size as they were.
When I wake up on a Sunday morning, I know what I want from a car. I like the fact it's interesting, it looks great, it's a Ferrari, it sounds fantastic, does the job. I think that's where the Speedster's really interesting. As a modern car, the Speedster is competent enough to make you feel this is a modern car, but it's still got a gear lever. It's still doing enough for me.
I love it.
To make it feel like an experience.
Do you see the Ferrari, McLaren, Lamborghini coming out with manual gearboxes, having seen the demand for...
I've asked this so many times of Ferrari. They don't want to get drawn on it, but I don't think they will. They believe their customer base wants paddles, and that's all they're going to do. And the cost of engine... The last time a modern Ferrari was engineered to have a manual gearbox was the California. Go and look at the stats on it. Was it 6 cars they sold?
I think it was 6.
I think the engineering costs were in the millions of euros.
Yeah.
So each of those cars cost 4-time sticker to bid. So they said never again. But
I called Graziano for an official statement about the number of California spec manual gearboxes.
How many? It's single figures, isn't it?
It was single figures. There's none left. And I called because there's a company down in Texas
That's
claiming to do it, and it's not a good situation. And if you're listening, don't fucking send them your car and don't send them a dime. I'll tell you why later.
Okay.
I don't want to get fucking libeled, but trust me. But I called Graziano, and the gearboxes don't exist. They don't.
It's an interesting situation because I think if Ferrari announced today, Ferrari is a brand that's at its very peak. If Ferrari announced it was selling fish tomorrow, they'd sell out. Okay, they can do no wrong. They're walking on water. So
With what gearbox?
I'd want a
Paint a sample.
But
I need
Ferrari,
a flappy paddle trout.
So they have all these new terms that come out from Ferrari that have been used for years I've not heard of. So the Icona cars and these ones that are special. They've just launched this Daytona thing. If they did a car that looked like an F40 or a Testarossa with a manual gearbox, it would be worth 5 times list price tomorrow.
Yeah.
So why are they not building it? I don't understand. Is it a technology statement? Is it they just don't want anything to do with manual gearboxes? Has someone got a rod version? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But look how Porsche is having it away with manual GT cars.
Yeah.
The development cost is nothing. The modern gearboxes are so strong. Why wouldn't Ferrari do it?
If Porsche wasn't having success with it, I would say, okay, well, there's no model, fine.
Yeah,
but because if you just follow Porsche, it's like it's obviously working for somebody.
Look at Ferrari prices. What's a manual 612 worth versus a F1
Right.
612? It's double the money.
Yeah, but that's today. You couldn't sell them when they were new.
You couldn't, could you?
No.
You were trying, weren't
Yeah,
you?
it was. And we had a manual California. I remember we had a silver manual 612.
Well,
but
both
you
of those
just
are
could
quite
not
ugly.
sell the bloody thing. F430 manual, could not sell it.
Well, but
Even
Is it- but,
575s when they
even
were
a-
new. No one wanted
No,
a manual. They wanted
understandable. But don't you think today's buyer is a little different than 10 years ago's
Oh, no,
buyer?
absolutely.
I think it's a little different.
I think some of that is influenced by what they think they should be buying.
Yeah.
Because I was selling these things when they were new, I
Yeah.
just find it you could not fucking sell them.
No.
You could not sell them.
Well, I have a friend who sells Porsches, and when he saw my Cassis red car, he goes, "Is that Cassis red?" And I go, "Hey," he goes, "I had a fucking 928 I couldn't get rid of for 8 months in Cassis red, and it's just it's cyclical." But I feel like today's buyer is looking, because there's such a plethora of insanely fast computer-controlled cars that I think they're
It'll be
looking for
interesting
something.
with the 992 GT3 because you can choose your gearbox, what the end production
touring
number is
one.
globally.
Yeah.
Do you
No,
think-
both.
You can choose the gearbox in either, yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting
in
once
the
it-
last one, the GT3, you could have manual or PDK, but the touring was manual only. But
Yeah.
this time, both you can have.
Right.
But I think there's a retrospective world that everything seems to go through. So hi-fi, vinyl's gone big again. Watches, everyone wants chronometers. People want mechanical watches, and I think the car thing is the same. People want to. Some people are doing it because they genuinely benefit from it because they can drive the car. But you're quite right. There's a load of people I think buy manuals, and then when they're in it, they think, "Fuck, I wish I had paddles. I can't drive this properly." But it's going up in value, so they don't care.
I've got a
Yeah.
GT3 touring coming, and that will be paddles.
Yeah, but you're a prick.
Do you think it's a function of when we're in the present, we want the next thing and we want technology to advance, and then when we get there, we're like, oh, is it actually better than what we had before? Like manuals, everyone had a manual in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s because that's just like what we had, and automatics were kind of crude. And we thought, well, maybe if we get these paddles fixed, it'll be great, and it's not.
Yeah, but the fact is now all of the PDK or of those dual clutch gearboxes are so good.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
But
and
they've
in
lost something, yeah?
They have, and I think most of us, I think a lot of people that are buying into this are saying, I've only got a certain amount of time left on this planet to enjoy my passion. I'd rather do it with a manual than I would with a PDK. But Edward is potentially more honest, because what he's saying is he lives in London, he'll spend a lot more time in traffic, shoots him down to the ground to have a PDK.
Bro, I'm driving an electric car.
What have you got now?
A Ford.
I got your
I got
Mustang.
the Ford, yeah. You
is
tried
it-
one yet?
No, is it good?
Do you want to try it?
I'll have a go in it,
You
yeah.
can have a go.
Is
in
it,
if
is
you
it
want.
good?
Yeah, it's nice. It's like a Tesla that's
How are you
screwed
getting on
together
with How are you
properly.
getting on with Mr. Musk? I normally see you raging against him on a weekly basis. Are you still are you his buddy? Are you going for dinner with him? Or?
Yeah, later. Me and him are just going to hang out in his
I-
$50,000 house that he doesn't live in.
I'm not doing Twitter for probably forever now. I think because it got so unpleasant before Christmas. I just thought the place was a cesspit. It's
probably for the best.
I don't really need it, and it doesn't really need me. But the Tesla people on Twitter, I just found incredible. It's an evangelical movement.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it in many ways. But if you live in the UK, the supercharger network, forget the vehicle. It's not about the vehicle. The network is the only electric network that works in the UK. It's the only one.
Yeah.
But that New York Times article that was brilliant that described how Tesla has undone the work that Toyota did in the 80s to make people passionate about quality was one of the best things I've ever read. It was so true.
Yeah.
Suddenly people buy into, they celebrate something that's built badly.
Yeah.
It's almost a point of pride. Look, my bumper fell off. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I met a guy in the UK that was working for Tesla, and all these cars turned up at the port in Amsterdam, and they put an easy up tent up so you can go and pick up your key. And they were like, right, the black ones are down that column, the white ones are down that column. Just carry on going until it opens. That was the handover experience, which goes back to what you said about going into a fancy showroom and having an expensive coffee. Is that really what you want?
I think for a certain type of purchase, it's become a white good. It's just a transportation device, and if you look at it that way, it's way better than it needs to be.
Well, there's people that hate cars and love their phones.
Yep.
If you hate your car and everything about cars, but you love your phone, that's the
perfect.
closest that a car gets to a phone, right? But and you've driven a bunch of electric cars, right? The experience of driving an electric car in an urban environment is very nice.
Yep.
Tesla happened to be first through the door, so people associate that experience with Tesla as opposed to with just any electric car. The cars are built like garbage.
But they're impressive the way they go. They're fast. They satisfy on all the levels that someone would want for a superficial hit.
Sure.
It's like a.
Now, I mean, my Ford does in exactly the same way.
Could you own a Tesla?
I mean, like when I've reviewed them, I've found the experience to be overwhelmingly pleasant.
Yeah.
I have. There's definitely like issues I had with them. Like I've had fucking shit fall off the cars I was testing before. And I've heard horrible, there's a company that modifies them to like, they do big brake kits and they do upgraded cooling stuff and body kits. They're here in Los Angeles. And the owner of the company was like super evangelical about Tesla. And the guy who actually does the work and engineers the parts was like, psst, psst. Every one of these things we get in is fucked. And I was like, oh, okay, I see. So like that makes me nervous, and they lie to people a lot about all kinds of things.
Well, by now, shouldn't they be driving themselves around San Francisco and being rented out? That was some of the utterances are crazy.
Well,
but
so
I still think the guy's a visionary, and I really do. But he's created a cult.
When you have a self-reinforcing cult around a personality that people, they believe because they want to believe, but they also believe because they've bought the stock and the lies continue to pump the stock, now you're financially reinforced. You're financially rewarded for buying into and repeating the bullshit. That's hard. It's hard cycle to break.
Have we sold a Tesla on the site yet?
We have. We sold a Model S, and we sold one of the original little Lotus.
The Roadsters.
They're quite cool.
The Roadsters are collectible. We
they?
have one here.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a fucking shitbox, but it's collectible. I mean, it is. And I drove one, and it was a mess, too. I drove one when it was new, and it was a mess.
I think...
apparently luggage also comes... There's a Tesla there. Where do we sell that? We sold
the
one in
2016 P90D.
And then we sold...
In Australia.
Carry on scrolling down. And there we go. There's the Roadster.
There's a Roadster.
We sold
Tesla
from
Rosses, haven't we?
Switzerland to Holland.
Yeah.
Look how many Fandangos we've sold.
Yeah,
What's the 68,000 mile 512 TR? One careful. Well,
68,000 miles? Good for you.
Mine's on 68
Does
now.
it-
Good for you.
Does it smell of your dog?
I think. Do you know what? Having said for a long time, I'd never sell anything. I think I'm about to.
How many of those are yours? The miles?
25, 30.
Oh, that's
probably.
pretty good.
Yeah, I've done
Yeah,
lots
that's
in
good.
it. And I finally feel I've come to a bit of an end with some of my cars. I've had all the adventures I want. Me and the kids have been around Europe in them.
So
Been to
what's
race
going
meetings.
to be on the block?
I might have a bit of a clear out. We'll see what happens because I'm not worried about them losing value. I've never owned a car that I couldn't keep forever. If the world stops tomorrow, I can put them in the garage and look at them. Of course I can. But I've got a few things coming that I can't really afford. That I've been stupid about. I've got an M5 CS coming.
Really?
Yeah, because I drove it. I did a video. I turned up to do a video for Top Gear web thing, and I didn't expect it to be a car. It would remotely interest me. And 2 minutes in, I was screaming with laughter.
Really?
It's so much more insane than I thought.
Huh.
And a guy
I thought the
phoned me-
regular one was kind of.
No, and I just thought it's so unexpected. I thought I've got to have one of these, so I've got one of those coming, and I've
You
got.
said that's the swan song for BMW.
I think that is the end of M car as we know it. Really is.
Is the last one that isn't heinous?
I think so. And it's got yellow lights. And I've got a Polestar 1 coming.
Yeah, you bought the press car, didn't you?
Yes, the electric car thing doesn't work for me. We don't have the infrastructure over there. But I do want the quiet thing in town because people think I'm a wanker with a Porsche. I am. So that's what I've done. And then I think to myself, I've got garages full of shite. So I need to clear some of it out. And I think...
I know somewhere you could probably do that.
Yeah, and now is the time maybe to have a change. But I'd sell a 512 TR... and within a year I'd want another one back because there's nothing else. It's a bit like the Countach experience for you.
There's nothing like
you get
that.
in an 80s, early 90s silly Italian car, and you just feel like you're part of a. It's the opposite of the Tesla thing. It's such an emotional experience.
I
love
enjoy
it.
every second driving my Countach. It is the coolest fucking thing in the world. Wherever I go, I am the winner in that car.
Yeah.
I actually, after I drove the Polestar 1, I offered to buy the press car here. And they said I could, and then they delay of gamed me like a year, and they didn't get back to me for like a year.
Why did it get such poor reviews when it came out? It got
I don't think it got poor reviews.
In Europe, it got some really lackluster reviews. Yeah, everyone compared it because it's expensive. They compared it to Continental GTs and stuff. I was, well, you're slightly missing the point, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I think most of the people that I know that drove it here thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
Kamisa, who was very, very critical of cars, thought it was great.
It's a
I thought it was
great-looking
great.
car.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was stopped everywhere I went with that car.
And the latest one, which there's quite a few running around the UK now, is just it's so bland, that car.
The Polestar 2.
Oh, yeah.
It's so bland.
It's a
It's selling well.
Volvo crossover.
It is selling well. No,
But the one, I'm doing this road and track thing. There's like experiences. I've made the route. It's like a wine country, sign up and you drive.
north
this.
of San Francisco.
Yeah. And
Napa
I'm
Valley.
leading the route, which I made, and they've gotten me one to
they?
drive for that. Yeah, so
Now help me out here. So I had a choice of I could have chrome or not chrome on the grill and on the window surround. And as the older I get, the more I like a bit of a grill,
Bit of chrome.
to pull
chrome?
out. So I've gone chrome. And then
You spec'd one, or they sold you an existing
well,
car?
they could just move the chrome off it, couldn't they? So if you look at it, I've gone for a blue one, not the white. The white one's a bit bling for me. It's a dark blue, and I've gone for chrome.
The dark blue is very nice. Yeah, that's the one.
So
yeah.
I've not gone blacked out. I've gone for the chrome surrounds, which is probably.
I'm surprised you seem more of a sort of blacked out kind
That
of
might
guy
even
with
be.
like
That might
tinted
even.
windows.
I think that-
might
isn't
even
that
be-
actually the car?
That is probably the car being
It's
pillaged
such a
by
good
some
looking
road
car.
test. It
It's
is.
fucking cool.
I mean, it's ludicrously expensive, but it should be.
Oh,
all right.
they didn't make you an incredible deal on it?
No, because of the unique way the BBC's funded. If I was found to get a deal, I'd be fired immediately. And also, I don't want to owe anyone a favour. As we've learned over time, you have to retain the right to be utterly horrible to every car company. If you can't, then you can't, can you? I don't want to be doing that.
Sure. I mean, okay, that's fair. But I was still like, it would have been like a used car. I mean,
Yeah,
it
so
would have had like 15,000 miles on it.
It wasn't the price. The price is not the price of a new car.
Oh, okay.
But it is absolutely reflects the depreciation of that car according to Volvo's tracker of the value of the car,
All right.
which is difficult given I think they've sold 2 in the UK. So I don't know what the precedent
I
is.
have never seen a privately owned one in Los
I
Angeles.
don't think it's
not
no.
one.
It's such a shame because I think it's a stunning thing. But getting discounts on cars is interesting. People always assumed that I've had discounts on things like 911 Tourings. You do know they could sell 3 for every one they build.
Yeah.
They're not going to offer a small Iranian a discount on the car. I pay full sticker for the freaking cars.
Getting you an allocation is the favor, not
Yeah.
getting you the discount.
No,
There's no
I
such thing as a fucking discount on a Touring. It
No,
doesn't exist.
But people think I get given free 911s.
That's insane.
Doesn't happen.
That's not-
You'd probably get a free Carrera.
Did you? I can get you in a V6 Panamera today. Did you drive the? You see, while you're in America, have you driven the Blackwing?
What's the Blackwing?
The CT5. It's the new CTSV.
Oh, I've heard about this. I tried to get one to film on
It's
Friday, but they wouldn't give me one.
Batshit.
How much power?
668 horsepower, 640 torque, and a manual gearbox.
How much do you reckon of it you can get on the road at any
A
one time?
bunch.
Can you?
Yeah, it hooks up and goes like a motherfucker. It's great.
Show me a picture of it.
That.
What's it called? The Blackwing.
CT5. So what they did is they made a
SR-71, motherfucker.
Yes. Yeah.
X-Wing,
Yes.
fucking Death Star.
I need you to. Can you guys get together and name this as close to you would an
Yeah.
aircraft carrier
Yeah,
as
yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the upgrade package on the brakes called? The Nimitz class. fucking invade Europe.
Yeah, what do they call that? What do they call that arresting hook? The arresting hook braking system. Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Hawk down.
But it was $110,000
what
loaded.
circuit is that?
That looks like VIR.
That's VIR up the hill, isn't
That's
it?
VIR, yeah.
In the night, we used to go straight across the grass there, didn't we? In the morning, you go to bed, then wake up, and then through the night, there was these tracks going across the infield where everyone was just cutting the course in half.
No, this thing is rowdy as hell. Mag Ride. Do you remember that
So
ZL1?
who buys this car?
So, but is it quite as good as an M3? Does it got that?
Yeah,
Does
it's
it feel
better.
like? Is it? So it's
Better.
pushed better.
Yeah, magnetic ride, really sharp steering, ceramic brakes. Better, is it? Tomorrow, yeah, fuck it, I'll breathe. The better ceramic brakes than the MC20. Did you ever go in the MC20 yet?
No, have you?
You haven't? Yeah, we drove it.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm doing it hopefully in a few weeks' time.
I mean, it's a reason to take Maserati seriously.
Do you like it, yeah?
Yeah, it's cool as fuck.
That's a
So
great
let's talk
little
about
car.
that. I like the fact that they sort of launched the thing and then no one got a sniff of it. And there's not really been any puff. They've just quietly given a few cars out.
Yeah.
But in that period, there's been a sort of pent-up sense of people wanting them, hasn't there?
all the Ferrari dealers have relinquished the Maserati
They just
franchise.
got- yeah, they got rid of it.
Yeah, I'm not
It's-
sure anyone knows
it's
where to
very
find
pretty.
a Maserati dealer.
It's very fast. It's tight as a it's tight as a drum. Carbon tub car, so it's tight.
Is it a 4C tub that's been adjusted?
Oh
Is what I
no,
heard.
that I don't know.
What's
If
the
it is,
the
they're-
rear end double wishbone,
If
or is it?
it's double wishbone.
Okay.
If it is, they've gotten rid of all the four. There's no way to tell that it's a 4. It has much more room inside than a 4C.
I can remember doing.
It's very comfortable.
Doing
Yeah.
the 4C launch, and I'm at odds with a few people. I think the 4C is flawed, but I still love the fact it exists. It's a
Yeah.
bonkers bit of
Yeah,
kit.
yeah.
And but at the launch, when they were trying to describe the layout of the car, we were at Bolocco, the test track, and they built this temporary structure. It was really cool. They drove the car in, and they said it's got a carbon tub. And it's got wishbones at the front, and it's got struts at the rear. And I remember thinking, why would you go to the trouble of having a carbon tub and then putting a pretty compromised rear suspension on the car? Then I had this moment. I think I was probably hungover. In my head, I was trying to think of a vehicle that had double wishbones at the front and a strut at the back. It's a Tamiya Hornet. Is the only car.
I've never even heard of
Tamiya
that. What is that?
It's a radio controlled model car. and I put my hand up and I said, was it inspired by the Tamiya Hornet? And the PR person said, can you leave?
There we go. That's a good-looking remote control car.
Oh, it is a good looking remote control car. How about
That's
that?
not a
Look.
Hornet. That's not a Hornet. Go to the left. That's the Hornet there.
The Hornet Spring mod.
So it's got a freaking it's got a strut at the rear. So it's got the wishbones at the front, but the strut at the rear and it's got a live axle at the rear.
Yeah,
so
look
it's
at that,
totally
you're
so
right.
the rear end is totally limited, which is exactly the way a 4C drives. So
That's a
they
hilarious
bought one
reference.
they bought one to the. Have I ever told you this or not? Or maybe I don't want to repeat myself on your podcast, but they bought a 4C to the UK. And they said, do you want to drive it? Because there'd been a bit of a kerfuffle over the launch, and they thought we'd been a bit negative about the car. This might be drive days, actually.
Probably, yeah.
And I went to Slough, where the concession is based. They rolled the car. They just rolled it off the transporter, polished it, gave it to me. There's a slip road that comes on at Slough. You know that M4 slip road. It's almost like a 180. I came onto the slip road and I came off it backwards into the traffic. I spun the car 180 and I went backwards onto the M4, busy, and I shit myself. So I drove off at the next junction. I drove straight back to Slough and I said, this is undrivable. I don't know what's going on here. What had happened was, because of the way the struts just give you such poor tow control, they'd ratcheted the car down. Oh. And they'd just given it positive tow, and they hadn't geometry checked it. They just totally altered the geometry of the car.
So this is very interesting.
And I
because
shat myself.
there's a guy here in California who is like the setup king for Lotuses. And he's got parts and a kit for the 4C also. And he does really like custom alignments and track day stuff and whatever. And he told us, this is Chanu, and he told us that every 4C comes with a completely different alignment because of how they're strapped on the boats. And he said, if you get a 4C, you have to go straight to him and unfuck it before you do anything, because all four wheels will be pointing different directions.
Well, I found out the hard way. I was terrified. It was one of the biggest incident I've had on the road in 10 years.
I always hated that car. And then for drive, we did the thing for Alfa Romeo when I went to Italy, and I was driving that the Stelvio 4-cylinder, and we went to the Alfa test track. We had like 2 hours.
What a test track as well.
I mean, oh my God, it was gorgeous. We had 2 hours to do this whole thing, and JF's frantic and we're running, and they're like, yes, but after 7 espressos. And we said that we have 7 espressos and then we go. And finally we get out there and I go, well, I hate this car, but this is where it was developed, so it must work here. It's shit in Los Angeles, but here, this is the track. This is it. I drove to the track. I was like, no, not here. It sucks. It sucks here too. Why does it suck here?
Why did I like it? That video is positive. I like the car. Maybe I just wanted to like it.
It's
I don't
fun.
know.
It's cool looking. It makes fun sounds. Like it's all carbon inside. I've driven around, and I know that it's flawed in its handling, but it still has something. It has enough exciting categories that I like.
Have we sold a 4C on the site? I don't think we have we?
Let's have a look.
Okay.
I like that it exists, but I hate
we
I
failed
hated
to sell a
driving
few,
it.
but we definitely sold them.
But to go back to MC20, it will make you, I think, and you're obviously a much better driver than me, so you have a better sense of nuance than I do. But
from Cheltenham,
I
Chris.
found that at least on the road, it is the kind of car that will actually make you take Maserati seriously.
And also, does it deliver something at low speed, low, medium speed?
Yeah,
'Cause
it's fun as fuck.
That's what I like. I'm just done with all this stuff. An SF90 at 50 miles an hour, it could be in a Toyota, really.
This thing is
gives me nothing.
really, really fast. I mean, it's 630 horsepower and 3,300 pounds. It goes.
Does it?
It is fast. But, I mean, and Zach drove it too. I think even at regular speeds, it was very nice.
We didn't go regular speeds very often, but
It's true.
Yeah,
we
it's
were
nice.
really, really, really
Why haven't we talked about the time? Why haven't we talked about the time he inverted that razor? Every
We
time
told
I
that
come on
last
here-
time.
No, but we have to do it again. We have to do it again. So there was this time when Zach inverted a razor, and I found it really funny.
It was my greatest day and then my worst day in the span of about 5 seconds. Yeah.
The noise of an off-road buggy going upside down as it roll cage hits the tarmac. It's an incredible noise. Let me describe it to you. It's like someone taking 20 cans of beer and just grinding them along the surface. And you hear it from a long way away, and you're drawn to the centre, the epicenter of the fuck up by the noise. And then the young lad that's been driving it gets out with a bit of a scuff on his arm, and you think, I feel really sorry for you, but this is really fun. Where can we announce we're doing an event on Sunday, aren't we?
Yes.
We are.
Whereabouts is it?
It's at Bluey's.
Bluey's.
Bluey's is my brother-in-law's restaurant.
Is it?
Yeah.
The Farah family's tentacles reach far and wide,
Yeah.
don't they?
This Bluey's is fucking great. It's a great place. It's my brother-in-law. It's and his wife. They own it together. It's Australian themed, but he's actually Australian, so it's not like it's bullshit. They have great breakfast burritos. They have great coffee, and they sell this stuff called Feel Free, which is kava and kratom shots, and it's basically somewhere between cocaine and heroin legal in a shot.
Don't drink
it.
it.
is quite
What,
delightful.
at 10 a.m.?
No,
Yes.
They also make excellent coffee
It'll make
and
you'll
great breakfast
fucking
burritos.
you will.
We're flying
you will,
that night.
We are, yeah.
on it.
Homie, you're
We'll be
gonna
flying
rip
that
that
morning
air
by the
cast
sound of it.
off like fucking Hulk Hogan.
Great. So we're going to be there. Myself and Edward will be there, and Rohan from the team. Come along.
And
So-
Spike.
Spike's going to be there.
'Cause
Matt,
that's-
are you going to be there or not?
Fuck yeah, I
Matt's
am.
going to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Zach,
fine.
you going to be there, or are you with your girlfriend?
I don't know. Depends if I get up in time.
I'll bring my
come by.
Depends if you
E46
get
for
up
you to
in
see.
time.
I'll come by.
I'll bring my BMW for you to see.
Thank you very much. So we're going to be there. Please come along and say hello. We're going to be putting the flag of collecting cars in the ground. It's a big ask for us launching over here because there is some really stiff competition, some people doing a really good job, but we still think there's a little bit of market for us. So we're going to give it a go. And there's also going to be quite a bit of content coming forward. So all of the videos I used to do on Chris Harris on cars, and then latterly on the Top Gear YouTube channel, they will now be on a collecting cars YouTube channel going forward. So it's going
Are
to be
you
some-
re-uploading the old content? Or are you talking about new content?
No, it's going to be new content because all the old content got sold with all the drive deals, didn't it? I never owned any of it. It got sold then. So, do you know what? I don't feel too bad about that. I got paid to make the videos,
Sure.
so fair play. I don't really make any difference to me.
They're still there. People could still see them.
yeah.
See them.
No, so that's what we'll be up to.
Those. How do you know? It's so funny because when we were making the stuff like Drive, and you kind of pine for more money and more access and bigger crews and better budgets and stuff, and now you have that. Is the grass always greener, or
No.
is it actually better to have all those assets
No,
and things?
it's a both a more complicated and a simpler answer. You need both in your life. So what you need to do, like anyone that progresses up a ladder like you've done, like Zach's done, like Edward's done, you must enjoy the opportunities that better pay or better resources give you, but you must never lose sight of where you came from, and also celebrate what you had. So for me, the way that works in my world is I love the fact to get to make a big budget TV show, but I have to be making guerrilla content as well. I have to be out with Nilo at Landau for 80
How's
pounds.
Neil?
Nilo's great. He's sends his love and he's doing his thing. We've got a little production company. He does lots of stuff. He's busy the whole time. But I have to be at least once every couple of months. I need to be at Landau in the pissing rain for 80 quid with Neil going, "Oh, the fucking Zoom recorder doesn't work again." because that's what we used to do. And my unhappiest moments have been when I've either had too much of one or the other, and it's not been balanced. There has to be some sort of symbiotic relationship between the two. You want to make a really big budget film with fucking Russian arms and all that sort of crap, but then you want to get back to being with your buddies, and that's why I think All Cars Go to Heaven that's your equivalent of that. That's you reminding yourselves of what you used to do.
Yeah.
And if you go too far in one direction, I think you totally lose sight of it.
Please go watch All Cars Go to Heaven 3, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
go
up
and
on-
watch it. Go and watch it.
It's up on YouTube. It's fun.
I think the big budget stuff is so inertia laden. That's where I lose my patience. When you end up working for an entire day to make 2.5 minutes of footage, I just cannot believe there's not another way of doing it.
Yeah.
And that I don't like. I'll never like that. It's just there's too many freaking people, and it irritates me. But then when I see the edited result, it's always beautiful, and I do appreciate it. But my happiest early working days were definitely just being a jobbing journalist on Autocar, because it was simple. And I loved the struggle of Drive. It was ridiculous. What we all did for the money was there, and the audience we built, we should be very proud of.
Yeah,
but
it was fun.
But it wasn't sustainable. Once YouTube cut the funding, we were left utterly high and dry. And I had no answers.
Remember what happened when we fucking tried to do a subscription model? The revolt. I mean, the revolt that happened when we tried to do a subscription model that now is the standard.
Yeah, you were just too early.
It was it's the standard now. There's not. It's assumed now that that's what you would do, and the revolt was against not the system. It was against Chris and I. We were called fucking greedy assholes, and we both took pay cuts to keep it going. It was like it was not. It was.
I remember making my own films, and the turning point for me probably it could have gone one of two ways. Is when we got hold of the Holy Trinity, Ferrari. I was just lucky. Jeremy punching someone inadvertently in several ways helped me out, but the one that really helped was I remember being at Geneva Motor Show. It just happened. The 3 cars, a few of us were lobbying to try and get McLaren and Porsche and Ferrari to give us the 3 cars, the LaFerrari, the 918 and the P1. And I was lobbying everyone, and Ferrari was the one that wouldn't agree. And Stefano Lai, who's the only Ferrari could have a comms director called Lai, and I loved him to bits. He was a great man. He really was wonderful. And he'd said no for ages. And he went, "Do you know what? I'm going to give it to you." Because Jeremy made some smug comment or something. He didn't like what he'd said on the TV show. So he said, "I'm going to give the car to you, so you can go and make your show with the 2 other cars." And I thought, okay, we're in. Of course, it took months for the car to come to be available, and there was no funding then. So I got a bit of sponsorship, but not much. So I paid for the film myself, and it was the best thing I ever did. It got us so much recognition as a filmmaker. And what Neil did with the resources he had I still think is extraordinary.
Yeah, it's a good film.
And
Really
as a show reel for me, it got me on the map with Top Gear probably.
Yeah.
So I that was the turning point for me. But before that, I look at these YouTubers now, and I'm going to meet these Throttle House guys as well. I look at the numbers they do, and Doug DeMuro's channel, and all these influencers. There's some guy just buying Bugattis and stuff off. It's amazing what they're doing. People think I'm jealous of them. Not at all. I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. I'm an old bastard now. I like making films I'm proud of. I'd rather be broke making shit I'm proud of than I would making money being clever.
Do you have more fun? I make videos, but I actually would prefer to write an article. Like the actual video production part of it isn't that fun. And maybe that's because I haven't had the Russian arms and I haven't had the big budgets, and I don't typically get a racetrack to myself all day, and I like working with Zach, but I'm setting up fucking cameras myself, a lot of the time. It's not, so maybe that's why I'd rather go, take the car and then gather my thoughts and come up with some metaphors.
Would it matter to you if no one read the content, or that you had a far smaller audience reading the content?
I'm just saying the kind of content that I enjoy making more.
I will never I mean, those days are over. But back in the day, when you used to be flown in a plane to South France to drive a new sports car, and you had a day with it, you said to gather your thoughts, you just had to do some stills photography. That was it. They were joyous days, and there's no doubt that I was a much more rigorous journalist because I had time to drive the car in different conditions and actually deliver a review. Excuse me, burping. But there's no doubt the world's moved so far away from that people don't place any real value on rigor anymore, do they? No one really. And I view this two ways. On the one hand, I think it's really sad that there isn't an appetite for rigorous journalism that really is meaningful. But on the other hand, the people that buy these cars, they buy them for their own reasons. What we say about them shouldn't really affect anything, and it doesn't really. Sometimes
it's weird that it does, though, isn't it?
It is.
And people don't. I mean, I'm sure you get it even more than I do, which is funny to me, because there's so many people tell me, "Oh, I bought this car because of what you said," and and when you talk about chassis dynamics beyond the limit, and should I buy this car or not buy this car based on what Chris says, the first thing I go is, well, can you drive like Chris? Because if you can't, what he says may or may not apply to you.
It's a bit funny, isn't it? The number of people that buy something because they just like knowing it can do it. I mean, I've got hi-fis that I can't use properly, and I can't set up properly, but I like knowing that it got 7 out of 10 in the review.
I am wearing a watch today that will go to 2,000 fucking meters.
That's Japan, isn't it?
2,000 meters. I will die. Literally, my body will be crushed at about 60.
But I can tell you, so that I had the old version of that watch, and what I can tell you is it can be run over by a car, case vertical, and it will survive.
I actually wore this today for you guys because this is a special sea dweller. That's a special sea dweller. That's a Royal Navy clearance diver sea dweller.
Oh,
I bet you've never seen one of those.
No, that's lovely, isn't it? And so talking of watches, Edward, can you just talk about the fact that we might have a watch concern as well?
We do. We have watchcollecting.com.
Well, that's why I brought this, because so that watch, for the radio people, they made 50 of these. And Rolex doesn't number anything. You can't buy a Rolex with an individualized serial number. But in 2013, they made 50 of those, issued to British Royal Navy clearance divers, which are like our Navy SEALs, right?
Yeah.
You had to be a Navy clearance diver to get one. They have special case backs, individually numbered.
Wow. Is that yours, or was that a borrowed one from the...
No, that's mine. I'm the only person in the world that owns 2. I have a second one of those at home.
We better get it listed.
So this is number 21. I also have number 22, but I thought that you English folks might appreciate that.
That's a lovely thing.
It's a very nice watch.
I've got a couple of watches, but I'm not a big watchy. One thing I'm always fascinated by you is, and I really appreciate this, is your love for the Seikos, the Japanese watches, which they don't have the value of the Swiss watches.
No, they're not totally underappreciated.
But they're beautifully engineered, I presume, are they?
They are, and Seiko, unlike many other companies, they're completely vertically integrated. Every part in a Seiko is made by Seiko.
Is it?
They don't buy movements from somewhere else. They don't have a case manufacturer out there. They make everything.
So you're into the Grand Seikos now?
Yes, yeah. I'm into Seikos and Grand Seikos, and I have been for a long time. I almost wore a Seiko today, actually. I love my Seikos.
I bought something at Bogota Airport a couple of years ago, and it wasn't a powder, Edward. It was I bought a G-Shock.
Cool.
And
they're cool.
It's followed me on all my travels for the last couple of years. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It tells the time. No one's going to rip it off my wrist and put a machete to my neck.
Yeah.
And there's something really appealing about it. It's the sort of E46 M3 of the watch world, you know? It's just brilliant at what it does. And it reminds me of what I want in a watch.
Well, a G-Shock is a true enthusiast utility watch. You can't kill it. You know, a fan of watches will go, oh, that's something cool.
Yeah.
You know, highly functional. They come in different colors and different styles. And I have a G-Shock.
So I shouldn't be embarrassed to have my G-Shock.
No, G-Shocks are cool, man.
I did some travelling when I was younger, and I went onto the King's Road in London and bought a G-Shock from a lady. And I said, I'm going travelling. I'm going to bring you back a gift. And she'd never see me again. So I travelled around the world with it, put mosquito spray on it. It was so brutal that it killed the watch. It didn't literally kill the watch, but it was deteriorating.
Like ate through the rubber.
Yeah, and I came back and I bought her a gift, and I've still got the watch. I'll always have it.
G-Shock that's an excellent product. Period. I mean, there's no It's not for the money. It's like a truly excellent product that delivers on its promise.
I'm going to buy you a big white one The John Mayer one.
The John Mayer one.
For your birthday present.
What's really
For your
cool
50th.
to me about Seikos is that there's an aftermarket for them. You know, like a Seiko is like the Ford Mustang of watches because you can customize them, and I do. All my Seikos are customized. You can change bezels, you can change dials, you can change hands. And
You lower them and pimp them out. Yeah.
mine's on Drolix.
These, I met the guy.
That's from Bremont. Yeah.
One of Richard Tuttle's things. That's a lovely. They've got some lovely watches.
That's the first one of those in America. The Jaguar, the Bremont Rally Timers. They're
We
lovely
should go
people.
to their factory
Yeah.
actually because they've got a
Wing.
beautiful place.
Oh,
Yeah.
the green one's nice.
Yeah, so this is that's one of the Seiko modding websites. But on Sunday
How
I'll
much
bring
is
you
that
some
green
custom
one there?
Seikos.
Then? How much would that be?
Probably like $500. Not expensive.
That's a sensible amount for me to spend on.
Totally. Yeah, that's a standard watch.
That's what I want for
with
my
a.
50th. Get me one of them.
I'll get you one of those.
Thank you. That would do me just fine.
I have a
I
couple.
wasn't thinking
I
about
have
spending that
people
much
too.
money.
Why are you so?
When are you
infinite?
50?
I'm not
this
for,
year?
no, 3 years.
Oh, okay. Well, I have time
to
to start saving.
No, but I there's something about watches are a bit like cars. You know, they run in parallel. And as the car world, the hypercar, supercar world, the top end, I think has totally lost sight of what it should be. I think the watches have as well. I walk around high class, the big watch places, and I just look at them and I think, what? It doesn't even fucking tell the time to start with. It's got barrels on it, and it would be easier to tattoo "twat" on your forehead than wear it. So I like.
Well, you look at it and you go, "That's a great way to get robbed in Paris."
Exactly. So I think when I look at a Patek or something, so I get all that. But the way some of them have got so overcomplicated, and then I'm a little man. Like a sea dweller, I can wear a dweller. A deep sea like that, I cannot wear. It looks like I've got a fucking alarm clock on my wrist.
Well, if you want me to be perfectly honest, I have owned this watch about a year. I've worn it 3 times. I don't actually like wearing it. I wore it because 2 Englishmen would be in my studio today, and I thought you'd appreciate it because of the Royal Navy clearance diver collection. I don't wear it very much. I like a more regular
what's the most
size
expensive
watch.
watch? We sold an expensive watch, haven't we?
You guys have sold a bunch of expensive
we sold
watches.
some really good stuff. I think we've got
There's-
£156,000 for.
Yeah, look, there's a
tag's
there's a
100.
Patek Nautilus 5712 on there.
101,000. Why is everyone so rich?
That
Zach,
well,
why is it you and I that are always poor?
did you see the
agree. I
this one
Tiffany
that-
dial
the
one for $6.5 million?
Yeah. Do you see this one Bernard Arnault was wearing the other day?
So my father was the chairman of Tiffany and organized the sale to Bernard Arnault and sued him and won. By the way, yeah, my dad's
The,
a G.
wait, well,
You
someone
got some
sho-
good
sho-
stuff. This
someone
is on
showed me a watch.
watchcollecting.com.
Yeah, we
it's
have.
it's like collecting cars, but for watches.
It's free to sell and it's 5% buyer's premium.
What's your guys? Because the fraud in watches is extraordinary.
Well, it's interesting. So I paid a guy before we got going because I like watches, but I don't know a huge amount about the industry. We just knew that we obviously with what we've had with collecting cars that we should shift this into watches because the audience are the same. And so this guy did an 18-page document and pretty much gave you every reason why you wouldn't want to launch a auction website for watches. And then I had a week to think about it, and I got him back in. And being the type of guy I am, I literally went through the whole document with it and pulled it all apart. He made all the normal observations you would expect, but actually, when we speak to all of our sellers, where do you buy the watch? Have you got the receipt, box, papers, etc., etc.? Do you want us to help with photography? We'll send someone to your house. When you ask all these questions, you rattle out the bullshitters pretty
That's a
quickly.
good point.
And it's we employ 70 people now that are helping verify the cars, the buyers, the sellers. And if you've got a watch that you've stolen or that's fake, there's plenty of places to sell it. And the last thing you want to be doing is answering questions to us and having someone come to your house to photograph your watch.
Yeah, sure.
We take 50, 60 photos of the watch.
Yeah, sending
in the
someone to
same
their
way.
house to photograph it.
Yeah,
If I was
Why would
selling
you
a
want
fake,
physical-
I'd probably
where
not
did you buy a
want.
watch? I don't remember, mate.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fine. Probably head to Facebook Marketplace. We haven't had one single issue.
That's good.
Yeah.
My sea dweller, I'm not sure if I've told this story to anyone. My sea dweller, which I've had for 20-something years, I
stole?
bought. No, I stole it. I bought it in 2000 in January 2000. It was just after my father had passed away, and I was in Dubai with my mother on a rather sad holiday that had been booked by my father, but he couldn't attend, having become
died.
deceased,
Oh, man.
which was very inconvenient of him, and I'll never forgive him for it. But I remember we went to Dubai when Dubai was literally a road.
Yeah.
And I went. My mother she's now departed as well. She was a great drinker, a high quality drinker. So we had a dinner and we were a bit morose, and then we got pretty pissed, and we went to a shopping mall there, and she said, let's buy a watch each. And I was jobbing journalist at Autocar, earning £12,000 a year. And she said, that's the last I remember of the evening. We were hammered. I woke up. I'm sharing a double bed with my mom because that's the only combination we had. It's supposed to be their holiday. So it was like pillows down the middle, usual thing. And I woke up and I remember looking left, terrible hangover, dry mouth, and there was a Rolex box by my bed. And I thought, what the fuck has gone on here? And I remember waking up, Ma, what's going on here? And she went, oh, God, I think we had a few beers last night. I think we went shopping. And I went, okay. And I opened it up, and there was the watch of my dreams, a Sea Dweller. And back then it was £1,200 for a new one, is what it cost. And she had a nice watch as well. And I remember, as it unravelled over breakfast, I was just like mortified, and I thought, well, she'll bail me out of this, Ma will, she'll be okay. And she just went, well, it's on your credit card. We laughed at it for years afterwards. It took me 2.5 years to pay it off on my credit card.
Shit.
And now it is a certified non-waterproof
Google this watch.
Why is it not? Because it was serviced independently?
It was run over twice by a car. I sent it back to be serviced.
Oh, so you know it will survive being run over by a
I've
car.
got to show you this one watch, by the way, which I think
Let me finish my story.
Yeah, okay.
And so this watch, they wanted to replace the case, and that had all the patina and all the dents on it. And I said, well, why can't I? Oh my God, Eben. Jesus Christ. So I had to. Rolex sent me a note saying we'll repair the watch, but we have to certify it as being non-waterproof. It's no longer a diver's watch. So I have a watch that should go to 2,000 meters. You can't get in the bathroom.
That's hilarious.
I love it to bits. But I remember my dear mother saying, "That's your problem, son. You bought it. It's your problem."
But it's
I'd never
a good
sell
story.
It. I would never
it's a good
sell it.
story,
I would
though.
never sell it.
Yeah.
These things, like a car, they have to have a narrative, don't they? And I do love the watches. I don't like what Edward just put up there. That
was shown to me this morning from a WhatsApp group
What's
about
that word?
watches.
It's the fucking
This is a
Jacob
Co.
Caligula, which is an animation of people
250 grand or something. Like
I mean,
that.
if you want to talk about
grand.
if you want to talk about the ugliest watches on the planet, Jacob is the king of the ugliest
What's
watches on
that
the planet.
black thing there? Looks like it's got. Months.
That's the twin turbo Furious. It has two tourbillons. Yeah, it's a Bugatti collaboration, honestly.
It looks like it would change this fabric of
It's
time.
fucking ugly as can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually
Look, you
cool.
can get diamonds with
so
that
the
one with the
two
old threesome at the
tourbillons
top.
is basically like, imagine this. Imagine a car, the equivalent of this. It's engineering just for the sake of engineering. Imagine a car that. So on a watch, your output is singular, right? It's the hands, right? It's one central post output, right?
Yeah.
And your engine also singular. It's a wound mainspring, right?
Yeah.
The tourbillons house the escapements, which are basically your gearboxes. They control the speed at which your hands do things. So if that was a car, it would be a car that had one engine, two transmissions, and was then one-wheel drive. That's the equivalent of that.
So actually, given the way they work, that's like a '94 Range Rover.
basically.
Right, I think we're going to have to head off.
Do we? You have to go?
A minute,
Well, I
Is it
think Chris is going
I've
to
got-
pick
I've
up
got-
a
yeah,
car.
I've got a
Oh,
catch
you're
car.
picking up a car.
Yeah.
I see.
How long have we done? 40 minutes?
122.
Hour and 22.
Yeah.
Well, people are going to be bored shitless of us by now. That's a fair old stint with you at the wheel,
Now,
Zach.
I know.
we did
I've
3
really been
hours
carrying
with
this
Doug.
show as well.
A couple
did,
weeks
did
ago.
you?
3 hours. I haven't got
No.
3 hours of chat. I'm not sure I've got 3 hours of
I think
chat.
you probably do if we started feeding you this bourbon. You do.
I've got to drive now. I can't.
We have
afford it.
no, it's all right. We understand, but that's okay.
Thanks for
We'll
having
send
us.
you
And
off.
Matt,
We'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, you're going to come along. You're
yeah,
right,
of course I'll be there on Sunday. I'll bring Hannah.
Maga.
Your
I've never
facility
met your
here
wife.
is
you
is
haven't?
brilliant,
No,
by the
she's
way.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad
This
you guys
place
appreciate
is,
it.
Yeah, if you've not seen it, this is. I've known him for a while, and this is his wet dream.
Pretty
This
fucking
is his
crazy,
wet
isn't
dream.
it?
This is straight from the inside of your head.
Yeah.
It's
And
quite.
we've got another one coming
and
too.
the fit and finish, and the toilet downstairs is just. It's a wonderful throne. The problem is that if you're having a wee, there's a picture of Matt Farah right in front of your face. It gives you stage fright. You know, I don't.
Did you see the mystery Dali in the upstairs bathroom?
No.
There's a Dali hanging in the shitter up here. It's real.
And
really.
West Side Collector Car Storage is a managed partner of ours as well. So if anyone wants to sell a car but doesn't want to be involved in anything, then they can
drop it with
here.
me. We'll detail it, photograph it, manage the listing. I'll do all the commenting. I'll deal with all the angry people, and then we'll ship it out when it sells. It's a whole deal, and we don't take commission. It's a flat fee. So
What's going to be? Are you doing more vids this year? More podcasts? What's the push for you guys?
just keep on keeping on. We're gonna try. Here's what we're gonna do this year from the Smoke and Tire perspective: is we're gonna do less boring cars and try and only do enthusiast cars because they just do so much better.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any more motorcycles because they perform like shit. It's really frustrating because I like motorcycles, but nobody gives a fuck about the videos.
Yeah.
And then we're opening our second facility, and then we're just gonna keep on podcasting because it's fun.
We're
Doing
going to do a lot more stuff in
rules.
North America, so we should do some some fun stuff.
I think we should go and do a Chump Car
Yes.
car race.
Let's do a
together.
race.
Yeah.
Let's do a race.
I'd really love to do that. That was such a great experience at VIR. And this is the thing that Europeans have such a sniffy view of US race circuits. You have the best race circuit.
Well, and we should go.
Road America,
We shouldn't do
places.
one in California. We should do a little
Yeah.
more rednecky one.
Can we do
Can
the
you say
Pikes
that?
Peak as well?
Rednecky?
Yeah.
I can say rednecky. I can insult other white
Can
people.
we do Pikes Peak as well?
Pikes Peak's just a pavement now.
Five
sadly.
$5,000 budget, something like that. Be all right.
Is there a Chump Car class
For Pikes Peak?
No. I mean, there
should be.
are cheaper, slower classes.
There's an idea for you, Mr. Fan.
There really should be.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you get to the top, everyone's pushing their cars because they've only got 100 horsepower?
Oh my God! The 14 miles of lemons.
That would be it. Okay, there's an idea. Get lobbying the organisers.
Well, so
That's your job.
I gotcha.
Get onto SWAT and say we need to have a Chump Car class.
Okay. For Pikes
For
Peak.
Pikes Peak, that would be fucking.
$2,000 limit,
That's actually kind of funny.
and you're allowed to have up to 10 people pushing the car over the line if you need them because of lack of oxygen.
It's
at the end.
amazing. Have you been there? Have you seen that event? It is crazy.
I've not seen the event, but I've
Crazy,
driven up
crazy.
it when it was half dirt with Bobby, or I think it was Al Unser or one of them
Unser?
who's now passed away. And he kept saying marmot. Whenever he see a marmot, he'd be going, so this is third gear marmot, to fourth gear marmot. I wrote a column about it for Oscar. It's bizarre.
My favorite.
experience.
So I went to the event in 2019, and my favorite matchup was the diesel class, which had like two cars, and one was Chuckle's Garage with like the 1,000 horsepower 1952 truck that's got a wing on it, and he's got tattoos. He's a big, strong dude, and his competitor was a Frenchman who had built a diesel-powered Bug, like a 60s Bug with an early 2000s TDI engine that just threw black smoke out of it, and they were like seconds apart at the top. It was really close, but they were just such different personalities, accents, vehicles.
And they
It was
ended up
just great.
seconds apart.
And they ended up so close.
My
It was
great
good.
friend Richard Meaden, Dickie Meaden, did it in one of those open wheeler things. The onboards are still some of the most impressive driving I've seen. I mean,
Yeah.
he was properly on it.
The open wheel stuff people have built
Steering
there
wheel like
are
this,
crazy.
with the things asymmetric. It's all over the place. But It was really impressive. It was one of the great journalist stories, I think, and it's such a shame. One of the things that happened
He
just
does
before,
some really good stuff.
Oh, he's great, but
Yeah.
just before the video era, so it was a bit of a sort of vaguely GoPro-y footage. I look back at the things we've all done that were just before the video era, and you think, oh God, that would have made an amazing film.
Yeah.
But that was one of them. That was a great story.
Well, we've got Jeff Zwart, who is like the coach.
He's gone
of
by
Pikes
now,
Peak
yeah.
Coke. Yeah, he's a member here, so he keeps his that yellow
Kills bugs
1970 downstairs. Let me tell you something about that in a minute when we get off this show. Thanks for listening, everybody. We are back live tomorrow with Larry Chen. You know Larry?
No.
He's one of the best photographers.
Oh, no,
working
I do
today.
know Larry
yeah,
Chen.
yeah.
I do know him, yes. Sorry.
Yes, he's
he's
he is a
fantastic, isn't
sweetheart, and
he?
he's great. And then we got Throttle House on Thursday. Big day, big week of podcasting. CollectingCars.com. It's collecting and watchcollecting.com.
Yeah. Watch Collecting.
Of course.
And we'll see you Sunday.
And you can
Come to
watch
Bluey's.
Chris on Top Gear.
Yes, you can.
You can watch on YouTube.
You can watch us on Collecting Cars.
And Collecting
You can watch
Cars
a bit of
YouTube
Top Gear.
also. All right, that's our show.
there's
Oh, there's a 22B up, and it's already at 250 grand. Fucking hell. God damn it. Man, did I miss the boat on that.
They're special vehicles, but I mean,
But you can get awful close to them for 30 grand, can't you?
that's the problem.
One like a STI swapped RS was like 24 grand on fucking
And they used to be 12.
and they were they used to be
12.
12.
It's what the poster car was for you when you were a kid. That's
It's
what
the
defines the prices. isn't it?
Exactly. It's All right, that's our show. Go get your car, Chris. See you later.
Bye bye. Bye bye.